All right, welcome back. This is video 3. Between video 2 and video 3, you should have put a manual tie point down for each of the GCPs. So now you have all the GPCs, so you should have a green cone on each GCP and a green cone on each end of the two tape measures. And now we're going to scale this. And this is a really pretty simple exercise. I'll go slow at first and then I'll try to speed up. So the measurements I'm going to give you here are the actual measurements, as I said. I'm going to show you how to do this. So before you were setting tie points over here, we're not going to do that. We're going over to the left-hand side. And up here you'll see one, if I hover over it, called New Processing Area. We're not interested in that. And New Scale Constraint, that's what we're doing. But let me just hover over for a second. There's a new Orientation Constraint. We're not doing that. New Ortho Plane, New Video, New Polyline, New Surface. What we want are scale constraints. So we hit that button. You'll notice down here we have Scale 1. So Scale 1, and this is fine. You won't need to kind of reset the names here, although it is possible. They'll put the GCP, MTP labels down here, the computed length when we start to put it on. But you see you even get instructions here. So you can kind of open this up on this side. And it says, draw scale constraint on the point cloud. A scale constraint is defined by a line connecting two vertices. In other words, these two manual tie points we put down. Mark both endpoints, at least 2 images. Enter the initial length and its accuracy, click apply, and then add more scale constraints. You don't have to, we're going to. And then it tells you what to do to go up to process and re-optimize. This you do last. So let's go ahead and set some scale constraints. So we're going to move our image in here. We want to get in. And because we set the tie points, you just go to the base of the tie point. You click, left click, and then you'll start to see this comes up. You can move by left clicking because the end point is right clicking. Get on there. So notice how it knows to pick up that point. You right click and then you'll notice now we have GCP MCP labels scale 1.1 to scale 1.2 if you're following on the right hand side with my mouse up here. We know that this scale was 8 feet. So we go in here and we want to just make it 8 feet. Now here's a trick. If it says here computed length, initial length, and it has a meter, it means when you processed from the beginning, you did not change it to feet. So what you need to do at this point, if you've done that, is either start from the beginning and restart the whole processing, or if you don't want to do that, you know that this is 8 feet, so you're going to have to go into Google and do a feet to meter conversion. There's calculators that do that. Put 8 feet in, and then you would switch the length to whatever that Google told you was the conversion for meters. Hopefully you have feet. If you have feet, you just put 8 in here, you hit apply, boom, done. Next, scale 2. Well, we did that one, so we got to go to the other tape measure. So we're going to go in here, zoom in. We want to get the base of that point, boom, pull it down. Zoom back in, make sure it picks it up, and you'll notice it goes right there. Right click, and this says 11.962. So pretty accurate, really. But we know that because we measured it beforehand that that is a 12-foot distance. So we're going to go ahead and put 12 and hit apply. Now we have 2 scales. We're going to do a third scale. What's the third scale? Well, that's going to be GCP 5 to GCP 1. So we're going to go ahead in here. Get to the base of that, click it. Again, zoom out. Move our image over, zoom in. We want to make sure we're on our cone. Don't really like the way, okay, now I can see. Make sure I'm at the base of my cone and click on it. This now says 11 feet, 0.008. Again, we're getting pretty accurate here. That is an 11 foot from GCP 5 to GCP 1. We know that measurement was 11. Hit apply. Now we click over here again to set a new scale constraint. So we're going to set scale 4. Do you need to do this many? No, you do not. And scale 4 is going to go from GCP1. Boom. So I just click on the cone and it goes very nicely. So think of this. You can either try to go to the base or you can just go to the cone. If I just put my mouse right here at the top of the cone, it automatically clicks it. Boom, done. Initial length, it says 16.813. This was actually 17 feet, so I'm going to put a 7 in there and hit the apply. Now I'm going to go again, do this again, but I have to hit new scale constraint. This is scale number 5, and I am going to click on that, a cone, move over to the other cone. I have to zoom out, and I can just click on the cone, right click. It's now telling me it thinks this is 15.27. Well, we know this is 15.25, so that was very close. And now we can hit the apply button. So you start to see we're starting to put a lot of scales in here. So now we want to scale GCP3, which is this one. So we got to hit new scale constraint. This is going to be scale 6. Go on the cone, click it, go on the cone. If I just put my mouse on the cone, it's going to do it. Right click very quickly. This says 13.54. We know that's 13.5. So we correct it. We hit apply. And once again, we have a new scale. We're going to set yet another scale. We're going to go from GCP2 to GCP7. So we need to kind of zoom in, make sure we're clicked on there, on that cone. And that's the nice thing about taking the time before to set those manual tie points. It makes it a lot easier. So again, I'm going to click up here on the cone so I make sure I get the base of that cone. And it says 10.529, which is great because we're now down below an inch in accuracy, which is great. But we know this measurement between GCP2 and GCP7 was 10.5, so we hit apply. I'm going to come back out, set scale 8. You do not need to do this many in real life, but again, this is practice. Left click there, we get our image. We're going to come over here to this, right click on GCP 8, and 9.78 is really 9.75. Once we put in the actual measurement, we're going to hit apply. Now we have a lot of scales. We have 8 scales, but we're actually going to do a 9th scale, which, to be quite honest, is way overkill. Left click on that cone, start your scale constraint, find the other one you're going to. We're going back to the original GCP5, zoom in, put your mouse right on the cone. It'll go to the base of the cone. As you can see, you right click here and it says the program, when it did everything, automatically believes this is 12 feet 2 inches, and in fact we know that it is 12 feet. So what we have basically is, we know just from the drone itself, we were basically about 2 inches off on most of these. A little bit more on a couple, but mostly 2 inches off. Once we've done this, we're going to hit apply, and now we've set all 9 scale constraints we're interested in. And here's what you see. Draw the scale constraint, connect 2 points, in which case we use the manual tie points, mark both endpoints, click apply each time, each line. You can see you have to apply for each of these distances after you reset the correct. And then add more scale constraints. You can go over here to the left. You can see we have scale 1 through 9. Next step, in case you ever forget, on the instructions is click Process Reoptimize. Process Reoptimize. The project will be reoptimized. If results of step 2 and step 3 are already generated, they'll be removed. So we'll go ahead and click this. And you can see down in the lower left-hand corner, it's optimizing with the geo information. And it'll take a few minutes checking consistency, analyzing, writing the points down. Basically, it's moving every pixel that was created from the images automatically to these new constraints, and boom, done. All right, so now, as it kind of said, it removes steps 1 and 2. So you have to go back into processing, and you'll see, look, the point cloud mesh and the DSM orthomosaic have been undone. Now you may say, why did you do that to me? I could have just done the initial processing. Well, if you noticed, when we went into the actual point cloud, instead of just doing this after the initial processing, the images are a little bit easier to see, and you get a bit of better accuracy, in my opinion. Go back into processing options. Again, we're not going to do the initial processing. We're going to do the point cloud and mesh and the DSM. So the point cloud, we're going to take the standards or the automatic template that comes up with the program. But DSM orthomosaic step 3, we want to make sure that we are getting the GeoTIFF, the raster DSM. You also want to make sure you have the Google Maps and tiles. And if you don't see all these options, remember you have to be clicking the advanced button here. Okay, so now I have everything I want in terms of how I want to process this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click point 2, point 3, and now I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And this is going to take a while, and your computer, this could take hours. On this computer, it'll take about 20 minutes, I guess, or 15-20 minutes to re-optimize, reprocess. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, video 3, which we're going to call Setting Scale Constraints. And I'll come back for video 4 to show you how we finish out the project and what it means. But make sure you're processing, because you need to reprocess steps 2 and 3 before you go ahead and work on video 4.